The Xiaomi Watch S5 is a smartwatch that gets a lot right at the first glance. It looks premium, has a large AMOLED display, supports both Android and iPhone, offers GPS, NFC, a microphone, a speaker, plenty of sports and health features, and on top of that, a battery life that many classic smartwatches can only dream of. At the same time, however, it is not a Wear OS watch and not really an Apple Watch alternative in the traditional sense. That means that you do not get a huge app store, you do not get the same flexible messages replies, and when it comes to payments, you are not as free as you would be with Google Pay or Apple Pay. But in return, you get a watch that lasts much longer, feels high quality, and brings a lot to the table for everyday use, sports, and health tracking. So in this video, we're going to take a closer look at what the Xiaomi Watch S5 can actually do, where its strengths are, and what you should know before buying it. When it comes to the design, I think Xiaomi has done a very good job with the Watch S5. The watch comes in a 46mm case, officially measures 46 by 46 by around 11mm, and weighs around 46 grams without the strap. So this is definitely not a small watch, but rather a model for people who like a present smartwatch on the wrist. Still, it does not feel overly bulky because the display bezels are nicely slim and the case itself is very cleanly finished. The watch case is made of stainless steel, and depending on the version, the bezels is made of stainless steel, ceramic, or forged carbon fiber. Because of that, the Watch S5 feels noticeably more premium than many other smartwatches in this price range. It is available in black, silver, ceramic blue, and jungle green. The black and silver version come with a fluoro rubber strap, the blue version comes with a genuine leather strap, and the green version combines fluoro rubber with woven nylon. Especially the ceramic blue and the jungle green version look a bit more special and less generic. On the front, there is a 1.48-inch AMOLED display with a resolution of 480 by 480 pixels and 323 pixels per inch. For me, the display is one of the strongest points of the watch. It is sharp, colorful, pleasantly smooth, and above all, very bright. Xiaomi states an HBM brightness of 1500 nits and a maximum brightness of up to 2500 nits. In practice, that means the watch remains very easy to read outdoors, even in sunlight. That is a big advantage, especially during workouts or when you quickly want to check your notifications. What you should know, however, it is that Xiaomi only mentions glass for the display protection and not sapphire glass. So I would be a little bit more careful with this watch than with a model that explicitly uses sapphire glass. The Xiaomi Watch S5 is mainly controlled via touch, but there is also a rotating crown on the right side and another button underneath it. The crown takes you into the app menu or lets you scroll through its lists, while the lower button quickly opens the control center. There's also an SOS function if you have set up an emergency contact beforehand. In terms of sensors, the watch includes a heart rate sensor with blood oxygen measurement, an accelerometer, a gyroscope, an ambient light sensor, you got a compass, and a barometer. For location tracking, it supports GPS, Galileo, GLONASS, Baidu, and QZSS. It is also water resistant up to 5 bar, so it's suitable for swimming in a pool or in shallow waters, but not for hot showers or saunas or even diving. When it comes to smart features, you can clearly tell that the Xiaomi Watch S5 is not a Wear OS watch. That has advantages, but also clear disadvantages. The big advantage is compatibility. The watch works with Android smartphones from Android 8 and with iPhones from iOS 14. It is paired through the Mi Fitness app, and in the app, you can install watch faces, manage notifications, adjust health features, customize sports settings, and view your recorded data. The selection of watch faces is large, and you can find many digital, analog, and animated designs. Notifications arrive reliably on the watch and are shown with the app icon and a preview. You can also choose which apps are allowed to send notifications. The big downside, however, is that the notifications are more passive. You can read them and delete them, but you cannot reply to them as flexible as you can do on an Apple Watch or a good Wear OS watch. So if you regularly reply to WhatsApp messages directly from your wrist, you will notice the limitations here. On the other hand, the Watch S5 does have an integrated microphone and a speaker. That means you can answer calls directly on the watch as long as your smartphone is within Bluetooth range. For short calls, the quality is absolutely fine, although of course you should not expect it to sound as good as talking directly through your phone. Other practical features include a voice memo, you got music controls, alarms, timer, stopwatch, you got the weather, a task list, phone finder, and a camera remote control. The camera function is especially useful if you want to take a photo or record a video with your smartphone and use the watch as a remote shutter. NFC is also included. Payments are possible in principle, but they depend heavily on the region and supported services. In many cases, this works through a Xiaomi Pay in combination with Curve. That can work well, but it's not as universal as Google Pay or Apple Pay. Another feature is gesture control. You can assign certain actions to movements, for example shaking or rotating your wrist. That sounds exciting at first, but in everyday use, it is more of a nice extra because the detection does not always work perfectly. Overall, the smart features are good if you have realistic expectations. For notifications, calls, music, NFC, camera control, and classic watch functions, the Xiaomi Watch S5 is absolutely sufficient. But if you're looking for a smartwatch with a large app store, lots of third-party apps, and a full message interaction, you should rather go for a Wear OS or an Apple Watch. For sports, the Xiaomi Watch S5 is stronger than you might expect. It is not a dedicated sport watch like a Garmin or Suunto, but for a lifestyle smartwatch, the feature set is really solid. There are over 150 sport modes, although you have to put that number into perspective a little because many individual training types are counted separately. Still, all the important sports are included: running, cycling, walking. You got hiking, you got swimming, treadmill, cross trainer, you got strength training, winter sports, and many more. For many activities, you can customize the data fields. During training, you can see values such as your heart rate, you got your heart rate zones, pace, speed, distance, you got the duration, calories, elevation, and other metrics directly on the watch. What is especially interesting is that the Watch S5 supports external sensors. For example, you can connect a heart rate chest strap, which is particularly useful for interval training or strength training because optical wrist sensors often become less accurate in those situations. Cycling cadence sensors or power meters can also be connected. That is a real advantage in this price range. However, you should know that depending on the platform and synchronization, not all external sensor data may be transferred cleanly to services like Strava or Suunto. For normal tracking though, syncing workout data generally works. Runners also get a few additional training features. You can set goals for distance, duration, or calories. You can create interval workouts and run with a pacer. There are also values such as training load, recommended recovery time, VO2 max, running ability analysis, and predictions for different race distances. You should not treat these values like a lab analysis, but they do help you roughly understand your training a little bit better. When it comes to GPS, the Xiaomi Watch S5 makes a very good impression. It supports multiple satellite systems and records outdoor routes cleanly. In open areas, the tracks are very solid, and even in the city, there are no major deviations as long as reception is good. There are also offline maps and navigation. On paper, that sounds strong, but in practice, you should not expect too much. The maps are not as detailed as on specialized sport watches, and sometimes smaller path, points of interest, or more precise map details are missing. For simple orientation, it is enough, but for serious tour planning or more advanced navigation, I would rather use a Garmin, Suunto, or a smartphone. So for me, the biggest sport advantage of the Watch S5 is not the navigation, but the combination of GPS, mini sport modes, external sensor support, solid training metrics, and a long battery life. Now the Xiaomi Watch S5 also offers a broad package when it comes to health tracking. It measures heart rate around the clock, can track blood oxygen saturation, show stress levels, record sleep, evaluate breathing rate and sleep HRV, and create a health overview. The heart rate measurement can be adjusted in different ways. In smart mode, the watch measures at longer intervals, but if you want more precise data, you can set the measurement to a short interval, for example 1 minute. That uses more battery but gives you better detailed trends. There are also alerts for high and low heart rate. During workouts, the heart rate measurement seems solid overall. During steady runs and bike rides, the watch keeps up well. During strength training, it can become a little bit more difficult depending on the exercise, especially if the wrist is moving a lot or under tension. But that is a general issue with optical sensors. If you want the most accurate values possible, you can simply connect a chest strap. But oxygen measurement is also included, but I would not overrate it, especially at night or if the watch is not sitting perfectly on the wrist. Individual readings can be too low or gaps can appear. For trends, it is okay, but you should not rely on it medically. The sleep analysis shows sleep duration, awake phases, sleep efficiency, average heart rate, blood oxygen, you have breathing rate, and optional HRV during sleep. Important to know, sleep HRV may not be activated at first. Sleep duration is generally detected reasonably well, but the time you fall asleep can sometimes be recorded a little bit late. As with every smartwatch, you should be careful when interpreting individual sleep stages. Still, the presentation in the Mi Fitness app is clear and helpful if you want to get a general feeling for recovery and sleep quality. On top of that, there are activity rings for calories, steps, and active time, and as well as a vitality score. The step tracking seems solid, while general active calories without a workout can be a little bit generous. Overall, the health tracking is strong enough for everyday use, fitness, and rough assessments of recovery. Now, battery life is one of the biggest advantages of the Xiaomi Watch S5. Xiaomi uses an 850 mAh battery and claims up to 21 days with light usage, up to 14 days with normal usage, and about 9 days with the always-on display enabled. In practice, the most important thing is this. With the always-on display enabled, continuous heart rate monitoring and regular blood oxygen measurements, around 8 to 9 days are realistic. Without always-on display or with fewer health measurements, even more is possible. The watch also performs well during workouts. With active GPS and always-on display, around 20 hours of tracking is possible, while navigation with map display is closer to around 18 hours. Charging works through a 2-pin magnetic charging dock, so it is not wireless charging, but because of the battery life is so long, you do not have to carry the charger with you all the time. So my conclusion on the Xiaomi Watch S5 is quite positive. It offers a premium design, a very bright AMOLED display, good GPS, mini sport and health features, and a strong battery life. The biggest limitation remained the missing App Store, limited reply to notifications, and less flexible NFC payments. If you want maximum smartwatch functionality, Wear OS or an Apple Watch is the better choice. But if you're looking for a premium feeling watch with a long battery life and a strong overall feature set, this is a very interesting package.